I had to go and see Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, all dressed up as Boba Fett. And I remember walking into the room, and Jon looked at me, Dave looked at me, I looked at them, and I'm all dressed up as Boba Fett, and I could see them giving me the nod. They made the right choice.
So today, we have another Boba Fett update. The situation concerning Temuera Morrison's possible return just got worse, and you're probably sick of hearing the same thing. I mean, how many times has the actor come out and said, I really don't know if I'm coming back or not? Ever since the book of Boba Fett came to an end, Lucasfilm, whether it's Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau, haven't been in touch. And some fans held on to hope. Maybe he'll appear in Ahsoka Season 2 as Rex. Maybe Boba Fett will appear in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. But as I've told you guys, don't expect it. If he did film something secret and he's just playing coy, that would be amazing, but his schedule just doesn't line up with the filming dates, and I genuinely believe him when he says he doesn't know. And so in a brand new interview at Tampa Bay Comic-Con alongside Daniel Logan, the young Boba Fett, Temuera Morrison pleads to the Star Wars fandom. Now he's at the point where he's telling us he isn't joking, take him seriously, he has no idea when he's going to return. And I think the worst thing about this is that Tem isn't young anymore. It's the same thing I said about Samuel L. Jackson. You have actors who really want to come back, who'd be amazing in their roles, and Lucasfilm isn't utilizing them while they're still fit, healthy, and willing. So Tem says this. He's come to terms with the fact he might be done. There might be a future for Daniel Logan as Boba Fett, but in terms of the iteration we saw in Mando and Book of Boba Fett, he thinks he might be done. And so he says this. In talking about the past, Attack of the Clones, The Mandalorian Season 2, his own show, he says, quote, I think we really have to treasure those moments now. And in a plea to the fandom, he says, all of you need to send a fax, or a letter, or an email to the powers that be at Lucasfilm. I'm sure they'd love to hear from everyone. And you know, I should just say he's saying this tongue-in-cheek, but he has a point. But there's a really sad and overlooked factor underlying all of this. From the perspective of Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm, the Book of Boba Fett was the character's swan song. So while fans complained he wasn't badass enough, you know, why did he have a redemption? It was so that they could put him to bed. From their perspective, Mando, Din Djarin, is his replacement. I'm not saying we're never going to see Boba Fett ever again, but for this iteration, the ghosting of Temuera Morrison seems to have been very deliberate. At Star Wars Celebration in Japan, Dave Filoni alluded to the fact they might return to him someday, but it doesn't sound as though there are any plans to bring him back soon. And so in this interview, Temuera Morrison is telling fans, do not expect me in the Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm not going to be in it. And you know what, guys? As much as it pains me to say this, I believe him. And the sources we know close to the movie have said the same thing. They don't think there is any Boba Fett, unless it's a massive surprise. One source, a good friend of the channel, said there might be some Tatooine scenes, but they don't know anything about those.
Tatooine would make sense, right? They keep making trips between Navarro and Tatooine all the time. Would they go there? I'm of two minds. Part of me thinks, well, sure they would. They always go there. Pelimoto's there. They'll stop by to get some fill up, get something fixed, go get something. But part of me says, I don't know, because I think Temuera Morrison did plenty of interviews. He's done plenty of discussions where he's not been contacted. Again, actors lie because that's their job, but also I don't think he's in it. That means no Boba Fett. And I was also told no big cameos. There's a lot of things they could do, but they're not. As you know, I know a lot about this movie. I know the ending. I know what happens through the movie. And I've been assured, specifically I was told, and then I'm allowed to share, there's no Luke or Leia involved.
So maybe to get some new parts for his Razor Crest, his new Razor Crest, which we know is going to be in the movie, Din Djarin goes back to the desert planet, as he often does. But that doesn't necessarily mean Boba Fett. Din and Grogu return to Tatooine in the third season, and we definitely didn't see any Boba Fett. A few days ago, Timothy Olyphant played very coy about the return of Cobb Vanth, so maybe the movie does have some secret scenes. I would love if Tem was messing with us, but honestly guys, he's so passionate about wanting to return. If he knew he was, he wouldn't be making pleas like this. So once again I'm going to say, don't expect any Boba Fett. But then Daniel Logan chimed in, and his comments are being taken really out of context, to the point where I don't think fans realize just how close he is with Tem. They're basically like father and son, just like on screen with Jango and Boba. Daniel literally calls him dad, and has done since they filmed Attack of the Clones. And so on paper, without tone of voice, without context, Some of what he said can be interpreted as an accusation, but it really isn't. He said this: "The crazy thing with Star Wars is you don't know if you're filming anything until a week or two in advance, sometimes even less than that. But the thing is, and this is where fans are taking this out of context, Temuera Morrison is the greediest person in Star Wars. If you go down the line, he's played the most characters: Jango, Boba, all of the clones, Cody, you name it. He's got the most characters in the franchise." And look, obviously Daniel is joking. He's saying this with a massive smile on his face, looking across at Temuera Morrison with so much admiration. He's being appreciative of just how much Tem has contributed to the franchise. Without him, there wouldn't be the same template, look, accent, mannerisms for the Grand Army of the Republic. Even if it were true, I definitely believe Tem is the one person who deserves to be greedy. But Daniel Logan tells Tem to have hope, and finishes by saying, quote, "There's going to be plenty of opportunities, especially for Ahsoka. So I wonder if he knows something. It might not be Boba Fett, but has Tem filmed something for present-day Captain Rex with a big beard? Or is he going to? Has Dave Filoni already reached out to him and told him it's going to happen?" I'd like to think the answer is yes. I mean, surely it's got to be for Ahsoka Season 2. If it isn't, that is such a wasted opportunity, especially considering we're going to be spending time in the known galaxy with Ezra, Zeb, Hera, the New Republic, and surely the conversation of getting Ahsoka and Sabine back is going to come up. And you'd expect Rex to be involved with that. He's one of Ahsoka Tano's oldest friends. I'd be so disappointed if they didn't do this. But at the same time, I really wouldn't be surprised. Lucasfilm just can't stop snubbing Tem, and fans are getting really sick of it. I definitely am. But then I wonder if as Mandoverse fans, or prequel fans, we're kind of living in our own little fandom bubble. And the reason I say this might seem unrelated, but I promise you I will bring it back to Tem. A couple of days ago on Twitter, the conversation of favourite Star Wars movies and shows came up, and I listed Revenge of the Sith as one of my favourites. In terms of overall Star Wars rankings, I think for me it comes above Andor, and this really got fans upset. And then I saw a bevy of anti-Revenge of the Sith comments, and I was really confused. I know prequel hate is still a thing, but I assumed it was more fringe compared to the 2000s. But it turns out, my friends, there are still plenty of fans who do not like those movies and don't like those characters. And if you think they hate Revenge of the Sith, they despise Attack of the Clones even more. I'm not saying this hate necessarily filters down to Jango Fett, the clones, young Boba, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it's just the association. Hate for the prequel trilogy was so prevalent a decade ago. It was the main reason J.J. Abrams avoided any reference to them in The Force Awakens. He returned to the aesthetic of the original trilogy. There was very little CG, more of a reliance on practical effects, and there weren't any prequel-specific aliens or planets. Lucasfilm is aware of all of this, and when projects are considered a flop, be it Solo or Book of Boba Fett, they take away the wrong message, and they blame the wrong people. And I'm just worried Lucasfilm blames Tem for how fans felt about Book of Boba Fett. Even though he criticised it, even though he said Boba Fett talks too much, takes off his helmet too much, suddenly they've blacklisted him. It's such a dire shame. But hopefully it's just a question of when. Maybe it's not that deep. Maybe the plan was always to shelve Boba for a bit and bring him back into the Mandoverse endgame. I would love to know your thoughts. Share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.